Huang Yueli was both shocked and furious. It wasn't that she didn't want to show how uneasy she was, but when she awoke, she found herself totally naked lying on the bed, and by her side was a half-nude handsome man with disheveled clothing lying right next to her. The scarier thing was she actually realized that she was like an obedient kitten lying on the man's chest, and her face was rested on the man's neck, in such an ambiguous position, in deep sleep. In her memory, she felt that the bolster on the bed was extremely comfortable and had hugged it tightly. When she awoke in the morning, the truth had been like this, so how calm and collected could she get? This was the first time in her entire 2 lifetimes. She had never been such a disgrace and so embarrassed before. Li Moying's vision brushed past her face and started looking at her bare skin restlessly. "Leah, are you awake? Yesterday night you were in deep sleep, and no matter how I called you, I couldn't wake you up." Huang Yueli was not the only one who had a good night's sleep yesterday. Li Moying had unexpectedly gone into deep sleep too, ever since he had gotten the soul detachment illness, as his soul was not stable and his sleep had been extremely light at night. There were even some days where he was not able to sleep at all. Yesterday, that kind of sleep where he had unconsciously fallen asleep had never occurred before. Moreover, he had been in such a deep sleep that he originally intended to slip away, but had completely overslept, and it was until Huang Yueli started screaming before he awoke in shock. Huang Yueli noticed what he was looking at and pulled up the blanket in a flurry, trying to cover up her body, but no matter how she tried, she wasn't able to. When she took a look, she realized that Li Moying was lying on one corner of the blanket. Moreover, that man was smiling wickedly as he raised his brow and laid steadily there like Mount Tai. His strong arms were leaning backwards on the bed, his muscular chest half exposed with a languid expression. "Li Moying!" Huang Yueli pulled and pulled, but didn't manage to move an inch as she shouted in anger and embarrassment. "What are you doing? Get off from my bed!" Li Moying then noticed her movements and nudged slightly, allowing Huang Yueli to draw away the blanket. Huang Yueli hurriedly covered herself up as she stared at him. She asked, "What are you doing here?" "Last night." She recalled the scenario last night, and puzzlement filled her heart. "Yesterday night, I was obviously cultivating alone in my room, and I had even set up an array at the surroundings. How did you manage to enter?" "That's right. Where's my spiritual pet?" Li Moying lazily replied. "You asked so many questions. Which ones do you want me to answer first?" Huang Yueli stared at him. "Aren't you and your sect joining in some tournament? How are you able to appear here now?" Li Moying answered, "The reason why I'm here, naturally, is because I'm a student here." "You're a student here?" Huang Yueli raised her brows in astonishment, but quickly recalled what happened yesterday and immediately understood what had happened. "Don't tell me you're the one who those starry-eyed female students at the entrance were talking about. Handsome till you shake up the heavens and earth and making the ghost and amp. Ghosts weep. Incomparable male god senior brother?" Li Moying's lips curled upwards. "Those girls are simply too noisy, but their eyesight are pretty good. The description about me are both accurate and precise." Huang Yueli was speechless. Do you need to be such a narcissist? Is there anyone who would praise themselves in such a way? You can also listen on." Li Moying took a glance at her and said disapprovingly, "It's all the truth, so why can't I admit it?" Huang Yueli stared at him. All right, the truth. Indeed, it was the truth, but he was still too shameless. "Wait, this is Celestial Light Academy. So how on earth did you manage to smuggle in? You obviously hadn't taken the entrance examinations, right?" She thought of another matter. Li Moying replied, "Do I even need to take the entrance examinations if I want to enter this whatever academy?" Huang Yueli blinked her eyes, looked at his smiling, handsome face, and thought of something, suddenly seeing the light. "I know. So you're actually a disciple of Celestial Light Sect. No wonder you're able to smuggle in easily. Moreover, to deal with everyone in the academy and live right next to her." Li Moying initially wanted to keep her in suspense to tease her, but whoever could expect that this little fox was so smart and guessed the correct answer immediately. He immediately lost interest and stretched out his hand to pinch Huang Yueli's face. "Lear, women who are too smart are not lovable." Huang Yuli slapped his hand away and raised her chin, replying haughtily, I don't need you to feel that I'm lovable. Don't divert the topic. You haven't answered me. Why are you here? I haven't seemed to given you approval to come to my courtyard. Were you thinking of doing something bad? Li Moing anxiously lamented his misfortune. Lear, you're framing me. Yesterday night, I heard there's some noise coming from your room and worried that something had happened to you. I dropped by. In the end, I found that you're so daring that you're actually advancing alone in your room. Did you know that without anyone to protect you? How dangerous a feat was it to advance alone? If something happened, there's no one who could save you. Li Moing's tone was gentle, but towards the end, it gradually became stern. The scene that he saw yesterday night made him felt scared now that he recalled it. In the process of a practitioner's cultivation, to advance was an extremely dangerous process. In the process of breaking through the bottleneck, if there was any disturbance from the outside world, even if it was a slight wave of vibration, it could possibly cause the meridians to be damaged, and in serious cases, one might even go in a chi deviation. Even if there was no disturbance, sometimes the situation where the practitioner's inner breath might be in disorder and caused injuries. So when most practitioners advance, they would need someone to protect them. In large sects, when top talents like Li Moing advance, it was a huge matter for the entire sect, and several elders in the sect would help to keep watch together to ensure his safety. But now, this little fox was so daring that she directly advanced without anyone's protection. Moreover, it's an advancement by such a wide margin, to continuously advance by several small realms. This was simply taking her life as a joke. Thinking of this, Li Moing could no longer maintain his gentle expression as his face sunk and his blossom eyes held a tinge of strictness, staring straight at the young lady. Huang Yuli went into a blank, and suddenly her expression changed. When she was advancing yesterday, Li Moing had known everything. Didn't that mean that this man already knew that she had advanced from 3rd stage realm 3rd level to 3rd stage realm 9th level, leaping over 6 small realms? This kind of cultivation method was simply unheard of. If her secret were leaked out, when did you appear here yesterday? What have you seen? Her heavily guarded look made Li Moing even angrier. What do you think? You can also listen on. Ugh. Huang Yuli didn't know how to answer at that moment. Li Moing unhappily said, Wasn't that when you were continuously advancing those 6 small realms? Huang Yuli went into a blank, as she didn't expect him to really see it all, and yet still say it out so frankly without any intention to deny it all. She could only reply, You've seen everything? But don't ask me why, because even if you did, I will not answer you. Li Moing's beautiful blossom eyes rose, casted her a sidelong glance, and gave a humph. What? Still trying to hide something from me? You really think I don't know? You have an extremely outstanding innate talent physique and is 9th grade and above. You should be some kind of fire-attributed physique, am I right? How did you know? This time, Huang Yuli was absolutely stunned. Her flame spirit physique was one and only in the entire Soaring Heavens continent. At least she hadn't heard of this in her previous life, that there was something more outstanding that 9th grade talent. But now Li Moing had downplayed it so easily. Li Moing replied, Because coincidentally, I have the same type of innate talent physique. According to historical records, it should be called Cosmic Blue Physique, with thunder as its main attribute. Unfortunately, I'd never been able to find a cultivation method which was suitable for me, so my advancement had not been as fast as yours. I can tell that not only your physique is special, you even have a god-rank fire-attributed cultivation method, which is why you are able to advance so quickly every single time. Huang Yuli's mouth was agape, not knowing what to say. Li Moing had seen through her secret, and what he said was exactly as it was. But the most shocking discovery was that Li Moing actually was a peak grade innate talent physique genius. After the temporary shock, Huang Yuli quickly accepted this accidental news. Li Moing's advancement speed had been so fast, entering the 7th degree realm even earlier than Mu Chenging, so this showed that his innate talent was extremely uncommon. Moreover, He had voluntarily spoke out his secret and successfully pacified Huang Yueli's uneasiness and apprehensive. This round, since they both knew one another's secret, then it should be even outright. Huang Yueli laughed. So you also have a peak-level innate talent physique? No wonder you're so powerful. You should have told me earlier. You really scared me to death. Her smile was very sweet, but Li Moying still kept a straight face on, and even then his expression had turned uglier than earlier. You still dare to smile? You're almost scared to death. I'm the one who was almost scared to death. Looks like my words earlier didn't enter your ears at all. Alone hiding in the room, and you dare to advance? Moreover, to continuously advance several times. Do you even have any brains? Or do you feel your life is too long? Or you want to try the taste of chi deviation? Li Moying's tone had turned exceptionally stern, totally different from his usual gentle attitude. Huang Yueli had seldom received such ominous treatment from him, and suddenly felt aggrieved as she pouted. Doubly, why do you say such things of me? Don't I know that it's dangerous? But I couldn't find any reliable person to protect me. Surely I shouldn't give up the chance to advance just because of this, right? Li Moying lowered his body as his handsome face displayed a stern expression, moving closer to her. Huang Yueli subconsciously nudged her little butt, moving backwards, but she was wrapped up like a baby silkworm, not able to quickly move away. Li Moying pressed on one corner of her blanket, causing her to lose balance and falling backwards onto the bed. You can also listen on. Hey, what are you thinking of doing? A scorching warm male's breath invaded towards her, making Huang Yueli anxious. Li Moying's well-built body came pressing towards her, and Huang Yueli became tongue-tied. Don't you dare come any nearer. Stop it. I'm warning you. She hadn't forgotten that underneath the blanket, she had nothing on at all. Li Moying turned a deaf ear to her warning, bearing an icy cold face like a sculpture, his gaze unpredictable, forcing Huang Yueli's entire body to stick on the bed, not daring to move one single bit. He then stopped his movements and, using his elbow to support his body, he hovered right above Huang Yueli. But the distance between the two of them were close enough. Huang Yueli was able to clearly feel that in between the thin blanket, the two of their chests were pressing against each other, and this kind of ambiguous feeling made her body started to heat up, her pale face blushing a shade of red. Li Moying lowered his head and his breath fell onto her face. Remember, next time you want to advance, you must tell me and let me protect you. Anyway, I already know of your secret, so you have nothing to worry about. Do you hear me? Huang Yueli went into a blank. But this will be too troublesome for you. I don't know when I will advance again. If you're not by my side, does it mean that I shouldn't advance at all? This obviously cannot. Woo-woo. Her sentence was stopped by a sudden warm kiss. If it was said that when they just got to know one another, Li Moying's kiss came from his instructs, then now it could be said that he had gained a lot more experience and it became a lot more unhurried. In between the exchange of lips and teeth, it was willful and yet fervent. Just as Huang Yueli's breathing was unstable, he lifted his head and backed down a little. Little lass, you'd better remember my words well and not try to challenge my patience. If I were to know that you tried to advance when I'm not around, I will definitely punish you. Huang Yueli pursed up her swollen red lips and was angered by his tone. Punish me? What can you do to me? Li Moying didn't reply, but swept his deep gaze towards her lips. Huang Yueli instinctively bit her lips. Shameless. You thought I'd kiss you as a punishment? Li Moying laughed lightly. Had she misunderstood? Huang Yueli's head slanted while frowning at the man in front of her. Something was not right. There should be a scheme somewhere. Li Moying's smile became even more unbridled. I will, but the punishment will not only be a kiss, saying that his gaze slid downwards to her fair-skinned neck, his tongue sweeping past his own lips. This devious movement made Huang Yueli's entire body shudder. Beast! She finally couldn't hold it in and spat out these words. Li Moying rose his eyebrows. You really bite the hand that feeds you. Have you forgotten? Yesterday, when you were in the middle of advancement and met with a bottleneck, who was it who helped you broke through that stage and successfully advance? You dare say you don't need me by your side? Huang Yueli blinked her eyes as she faintly recalled when she was trying to break through, She had indeed failed several times. But later on, an accidental, profound energy entered her body, which enabled her to advance successfully. Could it be that it was this man? Wait a minute, that last bit of profound energy coming from the mouth, wasn't it also? Huang Yueli's face gradually turned redder, and Li Moying looked at the changing expressions on her face in a calm and unruffled manner, feeling extremely delightful within. He knew that this little thing was unable to reject his demands. You can also listen on. After Li Moying left, Huang Yueli pounded hard on the blanket as her heart was vexed to the max. How on earth did she get threatened by this stinking man and agreed to his demands? She had clearly decided to clear the line with this man, but to accept this sort of demand now. Every time she wanted to advance, she needed to look for him. Then wouldn't that represent that they would never be able to draw the line forever? The more depressing thing was when she advanced yesterday, she was totally unprepared and had been seen completely by Li Moying. Moreover, both of them had spent an entire night together naked, even though they had not overstepped the boundary of what was improper, but she obviously liked Mu Chungying. After such a thing had happened, she felt that she had betrayed the person that she liked. The feeling was extremely awful. Huang Yueli mulled over it, thinking that this cannot continue. She was living right next to a lecture, and she totally did not feel safe at all, so she'd better be on the run. But she wasn't able to leave Celestial Light Academy now. But this place was Li Moying's stronghold, so whatever he wanted to do could be easily done. This was really troublesome this time around, so she could only take one step at a time. Huang Yueli interwined at this for a while, but quickly put it aside as she showered and changed, preparing to go out. But just as she casually picked up the skirt on her clothes rack when she suddenly jolted, the gathers of her skirt clearly imprinted several streaks of oily traces. Her face turned black immediately. It couldn't be any more obvious on who did this. Huang Yueli clenched her teeth as she hissed. Wang Kai, look what you had done. You'd better come out now. I know you're just outside. The little pretty boy had been peeking on the side for a very long time. He was a spirit body and couldn't leave this master of his too far away, so when dawn came, it flew back. But as Li Moying had always been staying in the room, it didn't dare to reveal itself. Now, upon hearing Huang Yueli's infuriated voice, he could only walk out carefully, stammering and stuttering. Female, duh. No, sister, my beautiful sister, that piece of clothing really was an accident. I accidentally rubbed gently against it. It absolutely wasn't intentional. Huang Yueli bore a frosty expression on her face, feeling deeply that this annoying child really needed to be educated. The skirt had been rubbed until it's so wrinkled, just like salted vegetable. This is called rubbed gently. It's obvious that it's intentional. I never expected that. Not only did you damage the things in the house, you even dare to lie. Looks like this sister hasn't spanked your backside for a long time. Little pretty boy's big round eyes swirled several rounds as his thoughts flew quickly. Finally, an idea came to him as he found himself a brand new excuse. Yo, you've wronged me. I really don't mean it. I saw your man yesterday and got too anxious, so I was scared by him, so it was by accident. You cannot blame me. Who asked him to suddenly appear like this? As expected, Huang Yueli's attention got diverted. Well, my man. Li Moying is not my man. Who said he isn't? The both of you are so intimate that you're even sleeping together without any clothes on. You think this lord doesn't know, so you can bully me? Only married men and women can sleep together without clothes. This is called having a clandestine affair. If you were discovered, you'd be thrown into the swine's cage. 3 black lines slid down the side of Huang Yueli's forehead when she heard what it said. You little fart kid, who did you learn all these from? And where on earth did you learn such terms? You're simply waiting for a beating. You can also listen on. Huang Yueli shot up like an arrow to give him a beating. Little pretty boy immediately reacted and shot off. Huang Yueli chased him from behind, furiously berating, "You're not allowed to run. At such a tender age, you know what is called clandestine affair, what is called sleeping together without any clothes. It seems that your thoughts are not healthy at all." While little pretty boy was running, he grumbled, You dare to sleep together, but don't dare to let others talk about it. Do all grown-ups tell lies with their eyes wide open? The volume of his grumbles were pretty loud, as he intentionally let Huang Yueli hear what he was saying. Huang Yueli was even more infuriated as she crooned. You still dare to say? When I am in the middle of advancing, I totally could not feel the changes in the outside world. I had clearly instructed you to keep watch by my side, and if any accident happened, you would be able to help me deal with it. In the end, you actually didn't help at all? A grown man like Li Moying entered the room, and you had no reaction at all. Tell me, were you asleep last night, or did you slip out to play somewhere? Little Phoenix's footsteps halted. When he recalled the moment Li Moying entered the room, the heavy sensation that congealed the air made the entire bird immovable. This cannot blame me. You don't know how terrifying your man was. His lineage is exceptional, and its existence is even stronger than our Phoenix clan. So when I see him, my legs gave way. Woo-woo. It was so scary. I'm just a small baby. Huang Yueli went into a blank and suddenly recalled that the first time when she met Li Moying in South Yu Kingdom, Little Phoenix seemed to have said the same thing, saying Li Moying's lineage is extremely strong. Natural-born blood vessels were able to suppress ancient spiritual beasts. At that time, it didn't hit her, but recalling back now, for Li Moying to have a peak innate talent physique, it should be related to his lineage. Only thing was that she didn't know what lineage he was from. Just as she was in deep thoughts, Little Phoenix had grabbed the opportunity, and step by step, it quietly and slowly nudged towards the door. By the time his heel touched the doorstep, he immediately turned around and simultaneously turned into a little birdling and flew outwards. OMG, female devil was going to beat his backside. If he didn't run away at this moment, then what was he waiting for? Huang Yueli saw a red light flash and realized that that little fart kid actually slipped away. She hurriedly chased out. Get back here now. You've done something wrong, and you still dare to run. Be careful that I can find you in the Sky Phoenix ring for an entire month. She chased towards the front courtyard when she suddenly heard a voice calling her from behind. Junior sister bye. Junior sister bye. What are you doing? What are you chasing after? The person was Su Qingwei. After she exchanged greetings with Huang Yueli, she looked around curiously, trying to see what Huang Yueli was chasing after earlier. However, Huang Yueli naturally didn't want to reveal that, so she turned towards her. Oh, nothing. I wasn't chasing after anything. I just recalled that I had some urgent matters, so I ran out here. Sister Su, what are you doing here? Little Phoenix took the opportunity to quickly dive into the bushes, masking its whereabouts. Little Phoenix was originally a little bundle and unable to be seen clearly. Su Qingwei looked around but didn't see anything and thought she had seen wrongly, so she didn't bother asking further. When she heard what Huang Yueli asked, she instantly felt embarrassed as she whispered, Ugh, things are like this. I had specially came to look for you over yesterday. The things that had happened yesterday. I'm terribly sorry for it. I had never imagined that they would scheme against you in this way. I'm very, very sorry. You can also listen on. Huang Yueli felt slightly surprised when she heard her say that, but after carefully observing the expression on her face, she discovered that her guilt was genuine, so she felt a little better. Sister Su, I know that you treat me real well. In the past in South Yu Kingdom, when I couldn't cultivate, when everyone bullied me, only you treated me well and had always visited me. All these, I still keep it in my heart. I also know that after you entered Celestial Light Academy, you'd always been bullied and hadn't had a chance to properly cultivate. After suffering so many setbacks, your mentality had changed slightly, so you mixed around with those people without a choice and not your real intention. Saying to this point, she changed the topic under discussion. I can understand that you team up as a group and you think for their well-being. But just based on those improper intentions, to scheme on others will not possible make you a real strong practitioner. The way of cultivation is to go against heaven and fight against your destiny. If you had lost your justice from the start and not be an upright person, then how will you break through and win your own self? Su Qingwei became even more ashamed of herself when she heard Huang Yueli's criticisms. Younger sister Lee, you're absolutely right. I was muddle-headed, thinking of being together with them so that when I'm bullied, at least someone would stand out for me. But I'd never expected their thoughts to be so crooked and only thinking of taking the shortcut instead of using cultivation to upgrade themselves. If it hadn't been for you to give me this reminder, I'd have continued on taking this wrong path. Huang Yueli smiled. You're still in time to realize the truth. Su Qingwei hurriedly asked, then, Sister Li, have you forgiven me? Huang Yueli shook her head, and Su Qingwei's heart thumped hard as she turned anxious immediately. Putting aside Huang Yueli's current prestige and status, just based on their friendship during their youth, Su Qingwei didn't hope to become her enemy in the future. Huang Yueli made her anxious for some time before replying, I don't blame you, but if you feel guilty, then you must properly train yourself using that cultivation method which I had given you that time. If you're able to perfect the skill with 7 days, and based on your own ability, defeat that lackey who bullied you guys, then I will give you a chance to get what you wish for. Su Qingwei went into a blank. Get what she wanted? What did that mean? What she wanted most was, of course, to learn high-level cultivation methods and profound skills, to continue advancing through the various realms, and to become someone whom her relatives can be proud of, a top-grade expert whom her enemies could only look up towards. Could younger sister Li really help her accomplish this wish? This was simply impossible. Even a huge place like Celestial Light Academy did not dare to vouch that ordinary students like them could become strong. Moreover, for her to refine an Earth-grade cultivation method within 7 days was nonsensical, not to mention to defeat that hooligan who takes their protection fee. Although that fellow's character was worse than dregs, but his stage realm was not low and was a genuine core student. She ranked backwards among the ordinary students, so to defeat him? How is that possible? But as she felt guilty, although Su Qingwei didn't believe in Huang Yueli's words, but she didn't rebuke her and only replied, Okay, younger sister Li, I've remembered what you told me. Huang Yueli had already seen through what she was thinking about, but she didn't say anything more. Everyone had their own fate and luck and their own goals and path. If Su Qingwei herself didn't want to become stronger and lacked the self-confidence and determination, then even she would have no way to help her. You can also listen on. Su Qingwei suddenly went into a trance, and seeing that Huang Yueli was going to turn and leave, she hurriedly chased. Younger sister Li, earlier I heard you had some urgent matters, so what was it that you needed to do? Is there anything that I can help with? Although I'm not as powerful as you, but after all, I've stayed at the academy for 2 to 3 years, so in certain matters, I'm more familiar than you. Huang Yueli thought that was probably so as well and replied, Then I'll have to trouble Sister Su. I want to go to the core Student Enrollment Center to exchange my identity token before going over to the profound weapon chambers and scripture depository. Su Qingyue's eyes immediately lit up a hint of envy. Junior sister Li, you're incredible. Not only have you entered the academy to become a core student, you also received the principal's special approval to exchange for cultivation method and profound armaments. You really make one envious. I know where these few places are, so let me bring you there. Huang Yueli nodded her head and went along with her. With someone who was familiar with the school situation to lead the way, the efficiency for her to settle matters had indeed increased. The farce that happened yesterday in the herb garden didn't happen today. When they reached the core Student Enrollment Center, she smoothly exchanged her identity token. The managing teacher was warm to her, inquiring about her welfare, and said that if she met with any problems in the school, she could look for him to help. This scenario made Su Qingwei extremely envious. Younger sister's face is big enough. This teacher Qian is usually very proud in school and towards ordinary students. He don't even want to bother with us, but I'd never expected him to butter you up. Huang Yueli smiled. This is what means by ability determines status. Work hard, and you'll also get the same chance. Su Qingwei shook her head and showed a helpless expression. After exchanging her identity token, the both of them headed towards the profound weapons chambers. Celestial Light Academy's profound weapon chambers was extremely large, and there were a total of 5 floors. Each floor presented the corresponding tier of profound weapon, and the highest was 5th tier. Besides that, by the side of the profound weapon chambers was where Celestial Light Academy's armament masters refined their weapons. 10 over-armament refining rooms stood out in one line and occupied the area, which had the most abundant fire attributed profound chi, so just looked at it was rather magnificent. From another angle, it could clearly tell Celestial Light Academy's ability. When Huang Yuli walked into the profound weapon chambers, the first thing she saw was Li Shui'er, who was arranging refining ingredients in one corner of the profound weapon chambers. As a disciple of the armament master Tang Jinhua, she had the same treatment as the other armament apprentices and had to rotate on duty roster every day to be a helper to the official armament masters and help arranging ingredients or the various profound armaments in the profound weapon chambers. Li Shui'er raised her head and saw Huang Yuli all smiles as she stepped into the profound weapon chambers as her expression changed. Bairuoli, why are you here? Only highly valued armament masters could come to a place like this profound weapon chambers, and not some vulgar and low-leveled person like you could enter as you wish. Her forehead was still bandaged, so apparently the injuries that she suffered at the martial arts stage had not fully recovered yet. Huang Yuli slowly walked in and stood in front of Li Shui'er. Oh, I'm so sorry, but I remember that you're not some highly valued armament master, and just an armament apprentice. If only armament masters could enter this place, then won't you have to get out from here immediately? Li Shui'er didn't expect it herself to say the wrong thing on, and immediately was stuffed back the same things which she said earlier, so she was extremely furious. In the eyes of the other students, an armament apprentice held a high position, but Huang Yuli had used a tone of contempt to talk to her, totally not attaching any importance to her at all. You can also listen on. I'm a disciple of 4th-tier armament master Tang Jinhua. I have the right to request an unwelcome person like you to get lost from the profound weapon chambers. I advise you to hurriedly leave by yourself. Otherwise, if I will call the Academy security to come and chase you away. Don't be full of yourself just because you're ranked top 10 in the martial arts stage. No matter how majestic a core student is, on an armament master's territory, you still have to behave yourself and tuck your tail between your legs. Li Shui'er clenched her teeth as she glared at Huang Yuli furiously, arrogantly raising her chin. Huang Yuli was about to reply when she suddenly heard a man's voice calling out, "Shui'er, don't be rude." Immediately following that, footsteps were heard, and a middle-aged man with refined looks walked in hurriedly from an armament refining room. Li Shui'er turned her head around and immediately ran towards the man to complain about Huang Yuli. "Master, you see..." She intentionally came to wreak havoc at the profound weapon chambers and affected me from arranging the ingredients. Make her leave this place quickly so that she will not affect the other masters too. Upon hearing her greeting of master, Huang Yuli inclined her head sideways to take a look at the middle-aged man before realizing that this was the best armament master, Tang Jinhua, that Celestial Light Academy had at this moment. Tang Jinhua stared hard at Li Shui'er and said, "Enough! Stop fooling around. Did you think I didn't hear you? You're the one who initiated the quarrel." Towards Shui'er, crafty and unruly character, Tang Jinhua was already extremely headache over it, but as she had the best innate talent among all his disciples and merely at 17, she was soon going to become a first-tier armament master officially. Plus the fact that she had a sweet mouth, so Tang Jinhua had always treated her rather well and not bare to excoriate her. Li Shui'er fiercely stared at Huang Yuli, feeling heavy-hearted, but upon hearing her master already said so, she didn't dare to rebuke him and could only turn around, walking to one corner. Tang Jinhua was all smiles when he saw Huang Yuli. "You're that Bairuoli? Ha! Not bad. Not bad indeed. You have your father's imposing manner from that year." Huang Yuli was slightly surprised as she asked, "Master Tang, you are..." "Lu Feng and our classmates in Celestial Light Academy that year, and he had helped me a lot. After we graduated, we have never been able to meet up, and later on I heard that he settled down in South Yu Kingdom to get married and even gave birth to a daughter. I had wanted to pay him a visit and take a look at you, but I was held up by some matters, and by the time I wanted to drop by, he had unexpectedly gone missing. Tang Jinhua explained. Huang Yueli just realized that and smiled. So in that case, I should greet you as Martial Uncle, Tang Jinhua replied. Calling Martial Uncle is so formal. Just call me Uncle Tang. The relationship I have with your father is not merely an outsider. Li Shuer had been listening by the side, and as she heard them talking, she was so furious that she almost smashed the armament ingredients in her hands. What did that mean? Her biggest backing in Celestial Light Academy was Tang Jinhua, but his master was actually treating this wretched lass so well and acting so close, even better than her, his direct disciple. What was the matter? Wasn't it just because Bai Lu Feng and him are classmates? Then before that, when she brought Bai Ruo Qi to meet Tang Jinhua had not even been that passionate. Bai Ruo Qi was Bai Lu Feng's niece. How would she know that what Tang Jinhua saw was not merely the blood relations between Huang Yueli and Bai Lu Feng, but rather the kind of domineering ways she had which was alike Bai Lu Feng? It was Huang Yueli's outstanding performance at the entrance examinations and martial arts stage battles that made Tang Jinhua saw her in another light. You can also listen on. In comparison with Bai Kuo-chi, who was driven out of the academy for cheating in the examinations. Just like a joke, so how was she comparable to her? Huang Yueli saw Li Shuer's expressions and laughed inside her heart. Tang Jinhua passionately ushered her into the profound weapon chambers. Lear, are you going to choose your profound armament during your visit to the profound weapon chambers? That day, I heard Principal Jiang said that he allowed you to choose any 2 profound armaments from the profound weapon chambers. Moreover, you can freely choose in the first 4 floors. Do you need Uncle Tang to bring you around? Huang Yueli inquired curiously. Doesn't the profound weapon chambers have 5 floors? Why is it that I can only choose in the first 4 floors? Tang Jinhua laughed. You don't know about this, but among the current armament masters in Celestial Light Academy, the highest rank is 4th ranked, so we can only refine 4th-tier profound armaments. 5th-tier profound armaments are all left behind by previous armament masters, and some are rewards from our main sect, so the quantity is very little. Just based on star currency to exchange is not enough. You will also need to obtain honor points. Honor points? Haha. That reward is only given when someone has done an incredible contribution to the academy, and under normal circumstances, it is very difficult to get. Huang Yueli was slightly disappointed. Speaking of 5th-tier profound armaments, she had a slight interest. After all, if she needed to refine it personally, she would need a bit of effort, but 4th-tier profound armaments were rather easy for her. Besides that, with the current workmanship that Celestial Light Academy's armament masters had on hand, no one would be able to do it better than her. Tang Jinhua immediately brought her upstairs and went on to the 4th floor. Lear, this at the 4th floor of the profound weapon chambers. Feel free to talk around and take a look. If you see something that you like, just tell me directly. Huang Yueli nodded her head as she started to wander around in the warehouse. Su Qingyue was just following behind her as her eyes turned wide, not being able to say a single word. This was her first time entering the profound weapon chamber's 4th floor. As an ordinary student, the amount of star currency she worked very hard to get was only enough to exchange for a 2nd-tier profound armament. 3rd-tier lower-grade profound armaments were luxury goods which she could not afford. Among the group of small nations practitioners, only Yu Xinyang alone had a 3rd-tier middle-grade profound weapon, and this already made everyone envious. One of Su Qingyue's greatest wish was to earn enough star currency to exchange for a suit of 2nd-tier profound armor. If she had the money, she would exchange for a 3rd-tier profound weapon, and that was enough to make her so happy that she could not sleep. But now, Huang Yueli had just came and had already obtained the qualification to enter the profound weapon chamber's 4th floor. Moreover, she could choose freely as she liked. Su Qingyue was both shocked yet envious. She raised her head and looked around like a country bumpkin entering a city. It simply was because fourth-tier profound armaments workmanship were simply too exquisite. Moreover, every single item gave out a simple and unadorned yet strong presence, totally different from the second-tier profound armaments that she usually used. As compared to Su Qingwei, Huang Yueli appeared more casual. She slowly wandered one round in front of some shelves and stopped, not continuing to walk forward. Su Qingwei saw that she stopped and urged her. Younger sister Li, don't you want to take a further look? There are several more shelves over here, and every single piece are outstanding pieces of equipment. Fourth-ranked armament masters are so rare, and every single piece of fourth-tier profound armament costs heavenly prices. If you're able to pick one which is suitable to your attribute and cultivation method, it will make your ability increase in its effect, so you cannot just choose randomly. Tang Jinhua was standing by one side, and when he heard what Su Qingwei said, he couldn't help but smile delightfully. You can also listen on. You're rather good at understanding matters, young lass. That's right, the profound armaments we have here are all extraordinary. Celestial Light Academy's profound weapon chambers is well known throughout the entire Sky Cloud City. Saying that, Tang Jinhua instructed again, you have to choose carefully. Although the higher tier of the profound armament is, but it must be in line with your own condition before its effect can be brought out to the maximum. Huang Yueli nodded, saying, I've already chosen. Tang Jinhua went into a blank. What? You've already chosen? Isn't that a little too quick? You sure you've chosen already? There is still plenty of profound armaments here, and you haven't even seen it yet. Didn't you hear what I said earlier? Take your time to choose. Anyway, I'm not in a hurry to chase you out. Huang Yueli smiled and replied, I've really taken my picks, so why should I hang around here any longer? Isn't this just wasting Uncle Tang's time? Tang Jinhua's eyes widened as he said, You are sure? Sure. All right. Then which two pieces have you chosen? Tang Jinhua obviously didn't believe, only thinking that this little lass had been too elated by her recent victories which made her careless, but on by Lu Feng's accord. He must stop her from making this kind of mistake. No matter what, he must make her appreciate the chance and pick out the most suitable profound armament. Huang Yueli pointed, I want this dagger and that chest-protecting mirror. Tang Jinhua turned around to take a look, and his mind went into a blank again. He had originally intended that no matter what profound armament Huang Yueli chose, he would look down on it fiercely to pick out its flaws and made her choose again. The result was when he really took a look, the words in his throat were swallowed back. The item which Huang Yueli took fancy upon were the two best profound armaments which the profound weapon chamber's fourth floor had. You sure you want to select these two pieces? What made you choose them? Tang Jinhua was tongue-tied as he finally voiced out after regaining his senses. Huang Yueli's brows rose. Uncle Tang, aren't you asking the obvious? The reason why I'm choosing these two pieces is because they're the best profound armaments in this floor. Don't tell me you can't bear to give them to me. You said earlier that the profound armament in this floor is for me to choose, and now you cannot go back on your words. Of course I will not regret, but what made you choose them? Let's talk about this dagger that you chose. At least it's a fourth-tier upper-grade profound weapon. But this piece of chest-protecting mirror, it is merely fourth-tier medium grade and the most worthless among the profound armament's profound armor. How did you see through that it is the best? Tang Jinhua couldn't bear to part with it. These two profound armaments in this fourth floor were absolutely the treasures of this place. Even though the fifth floor had many profound armaments, but judging from the real power, these two pieces outshone them. As the grade was much lower, so it was stored on the fourth floor. Tang Jinhua intentionally stuffed them into one corner and made it covered in dust, just because he couldn't bear for those who didn't know what to choose it away. Whoever knew that this little lass today had such good eyesight and picked out these two pieces in no time. But at this moment, Tang Jinhua's physical pain was secondary. He was pleasantly surprised in his heart, or rather shocked. To be able to pick out one piece could probably be her luck, but to be able to pick out both pieces, this meant she was a real expert. You can also listen on. Huang Yueli smiled. To tell you the truth, I've gained some knowledge related to refining of armaments previously, so I have some understanding of profound armament quality and power. Tang Jinhua replied. Really? Then tell me your reasons for choosing them? Huang Yueli smiled as she spoke frankly with assurance. This dagger's color distribution is filled with glossiness, and it's due to the equal distribution during the convergence process. As a water-attributed profound weapon, the degree of convergence is extremely important. The amplification of ability for water-attributed practitioners is much stronger than other water-attributed profound armaments. You even know about all these. Tang Jinhua praised. This were all taught to you by your father? He's really something. During the refining process, the point of emphasis for different attributed profound armaments are not the same, and only by bringing out the implicit qualities of that particular area to the max would be most suitable for the practitioner with that attribute. Unfortunately, this kind of knowledge was only known to armament masters. In order to be able to sell the profound armament that they refined at a high price, they would never pass on this key to others. So for Huang Yueli to know about all these, Tang Jinhua thought she was rather impressive. He continued to ask, then how about this chest-protecting mirror? What thoughts do you have? This is an Earth-attributed profound armament, and the fineness is rather ordinary. So why did you choose it? Huang Yueli replied, because this chest-protecting mirror, amongst all the fourth-tier profound armaments, is the only one which has supplementary profound skill added on. When this kind of profound armament was worn, it was able to activate the supplementary profound skill to attack the enemies. This was equivalent to obtaining a profound skill without the need to cultivate. This kind of profound armament was worth a lot of money, so there was no need to say anything else. Tang Jinhua was tongue-tied. This. You can even see through this? Huang Yueli's lips curled upwards. I'm merely guessing. Looks like I've made the correct guess. Tang Jinhua looked at her deeply before shaking his head and sighed with emotion. This really, the student surpasses the master. That year, your father's foresight had always been good, but you've already surpassed him by leaps and bounds. Looks like your understanding of profound armaments is just like a little bit like what you said. Speaking of this, he suddenly seemed to remember something. I've heard others say that you're a fire-attributed practitioner. That should be following your mother. I remember your father belonged to metal attribute. Do you also have metal attribute innate talent? Huang Yueli replied, I do have some metal attribute innate talent, but my main cultivation method is fire attribute. Tang Jinhua's eyes lit up. You lass, you're actually a dual metal and fire attribute practitioner. This is great. I believe you also know that dual metal and fire attributes are the fundamental requirements for armament refining training. I never expected you to have such innate talent, plus the fact that your foresight and understanding is so great. Have you ever considered to become an armament master? Yuji. Huang Yueli was stumped by his question. Armament master? Of course she had thought about it, and probably no one could compete with her over this. But how was she supposed to reply to this kind of questions? Tang Jinhua added on, Uncle Tang thinks you're a good successor for learning refining of armaments, and if you're interested, you can learn from me. I believe, based on your understanding, to become a proper armament master is imminent. How about it? Huang Yueli never expected him to come out with this idea and didn't know whether to laugh or cry at this moment. She hurriedly rejected him. I'd never thought of this kind of matter. You can also listen on. Uncle Tang, you know that my energy is spent mainly on the way of cultivation, and I really don't have any extra time for learning how to refine armaments. I can only thank you for your well intentions. How on earth would she possibly become an apprentice to Tang Jinhua? To be honest, even the scenario was reversed, and Tang Jinhua would be her student. She thought that his innate talent and comprehension was slightly lacking. But Tang Jinhua didn't know what she was thinking about, and right after he was rejected, he still refused to give up. Lear, think carefully before you give me an answer. Don't be so hurried to give me an answer. Do you know what it means to become an armament master? And how many people dreamt of becoming an armament master? Although your cultivation talent is very outstanding, and in future, you will definitely become a famous top expert in the South Sky region. But the status of an armament master, that is completely different, Huang Yueli replied. Uncle Tang, I understand your meaning. I think you still don't get it. Let Uncle Tang give you an example. Did you see my female disciple Li Shuer? Don't think that you're a core student and ranked 8th in the martial arts stage, whereas she's just high-leveled armament apprentice. But your status versus hers in the academy is the same. Moreover, the minute she becomes a first-ranked armament master, she will be able to join the faculty of her alma mater upon graduation. Besides that, there will be many practitioners who will be fighting to get into her good books. Even martial arts stage number 1 rankings Yuan Ziyu also treat her politely. For what reason? On the basis that she will become an armament master in future. Tang Jinhua persuaded her sincerely and earnestly. Huang Yueli replied him with smiles, but didn't say a word. No one else understood it better than her on how high the status of an armament master was. In her previous life, when she was in Sky Emperor City, when her ability wasn't at her strongest, all the major powerhouses tried their best to butter up to her, and so many traditional big sect masters treated her with politeness. Wasn't it all because she was the only 9th-ranked armament master in the entire Soaring Heavens continent? Tang Jinhua realized that she didn't express anything and thought she wasn't confident in her own innate talent as he hurriedly added on. Actually, although innate talent is important in the art of refining armaments, but the power of understanding and having a keen eye are equally critical. Even if your metal attribute innate talent isn't strong, but just based on your keen eyesight, Uncle Tang dare to guarantee that if you are willing to learn from me, you will definitely be more outstanding than Li Shuer. I gauge that within 1 year, you'll be able to formally become a first-ranked armament master. Armament masters are extremely rare because practitioners with both metal and fire attributes were very little. But unfortunately, just based on the attributes, it didn't mean that one could become an armament master. Refining armaments was an abstruse, ancient skill, and not everyone was able to understand the complex process. A good young successor was really hard to find. So when Tang Jinhua saw Huang Yueli, he immediately realized that this was one talent that he had found, and if he didn't catch hold of this talent, then it would really be a waste. That cannot be so. So he must persuade her successfully. But no matter how nicely he put it, it was impossible for Huang Yueli to accept becoming an apprentice to him. But yet she didn't want to disappoint Tang Jinhua. She thought for a while before replying, Uncle Tang, I understand your intentions. But at this current stage, I still want to focus on the way of cultivation. But I will also seriously consider if I should learn the skills of armament refining at the same time. Why not we do it this way? Let me consider for a few days, then we'll discuss again, all right? All right then. Tang Jinhua's face had disappointment written all over it, but he also knew that surely he could not use a knife and forced her to become his apprentice, right? You can also listen on. He could only agree to her suggestion and come out with an opportunity to let this young lass realize the special authority and status that an armament master had, so that she would change her mind in the end. Su Qingwei was standing by the side and completely became dumbstruck as she felt that she was definitely experiencing hallucinations. The sublime armament master Tang Jinhua from Celestial Light Academy had taken the initiative to accept Huang Yueli as his disciple. In the entire Celestial Light Academy, who didn't know how high the standards of Master Tang was and how many severe conditions he had for accepting disciples. Even the acclaimed #1 armament refining talent, which had not been seen for the past 10 years, Li Shuer, had pleaded with Master Tang for a very long time, and it was only after she had been taught several difficult examinations before Master Tang finally loosened up and accepted her as his disciple. Moreover, after Li Shuer became Master Tang's apprentice, her status immediately shot up and became one of the most sparkling existences in Celestial Light Academy. But now, Master Tang actually initiated to take in a disciple. Su Qingwei felt that Huang Yueli was simply too awesome. Just based on those few words made Tang Jinhua praised her to the skies. Where on heavens would you find such an outrageous existence? Not only was her cultivate innate talent good, she also had armament refining talent, which made Master Tang see her in a new light. However, immediately following that, Su Qingwei heard Huang Yueli's reply. That reply made her jaw almost dropped out. Huang Yueli actually rejected him. She actually rejected him. Master Tang had taken the initiative to take in a disciple, and his attitude was so sincere, giving her a chance once and again, repeatedly advising her the advantages of becoming an armament master. In the end, he even guaranteed that he would be able to guide her to become a first-ranked armament master within 1 year. Just how great was Huang Yueli's innate talent? Even Master Tang refused to let her go. But even so, she still rejected him. Moreover, she rejected him time and again. No matter what Master Tang said, her heart didn't waver one bit. If it wasn't for the fact that Master was standing by the side, Su Qingwei couldn't hold back and rushed forward to shake her to see if water had entered her head. This was such a good opportunity, an opportunity that would not some even if others begged for it. And yet she rejected? What on earth was she thinking about? Didn't she know that once she missed this opportunity, she would regret it for life? Su Qingwei tried her best to hint Huang Yueli with her eyes, in a bid to make her understand how hard this opportunity was and to quickly greet her master. Unfortunately, her eyes were almost on the verge of cramping, but Huang Yueli still seemed like she didn't notice anything. Tang Jinhua sighed and replied, "If you had any interest, you can still look for me after a couple of days. Now I'll pass you these 2 profound armaments. They are really lucky to be taken in by a mistress who appreciates their value." Huang Yueli genuinely replied, "Thank you, Uncle Tang." She knew this more than anyone else, on how an armament mater felt towards his own works. They had finally refined a profound armament, and if it was taken by someone who didn't know what's what, then it was equivalent to the feeling of their own child being killed. That heartache. Huang Yueli received the profound armaments and thanked Tang Jinhua. Under his sympathetic gaze, she coolly left the profound weapon chambers with Su Qingwei. The 2 of them had just stepped out of the profound weapon chambers when Su Qingwei pulled her to one side and painstakingly said, "Aya, sisterly, what on earth are you thinking about? Master Tang had taken the initiative to take you in as his disciple. Such a good opportunity, and you actually rejected him. What? You surnamed Su? What daydream are you dreaming about? My master would take this wretched lass as his disciple?" Before Huang Yueli could reply, they already heard Li Xuaner's voice coming from behind. You can also listen on. The 2 of them turned back when they heard the voice and saw Li Xuaner's face of ridicule, walking out from the direction of the profound weapon chambers. "This is really the funniest joke that I've heard of this year. Who doesn't know how high my master's foresight is? The disciples he accepted are all geniuses with unsurpassed innate talents. Moreover, since when had my master accepted any disciple without repeatedly testing them for at least 1 year and above? Who do you think you are? He will take you in as a disciple voluntarily? Stop dreaming." She raised her chin, her face filled with provocation. Li Xuaner was infuriated by Huang Yueli early this morning, and moreover, her master, who had always pampered her, didn't stand on her side this time, but was acting so close to Huang Yueli instead. Li Xuaner couldn't flare up on the spot and had been bearing with this anger inside her until it was about to cause an internal injury. In the end, after Huang Yueli left, Tang Jinhua suddenly recalled that he had missed out informing her how to maintain the profound armaments and specially asked Li Xuaner to go and remind her personally. This made Li Xuaner almost throw blood out. What was this? Her status as a high-leveled armament apprentice, and moreover, she was about to become a first-ranked armament master. There are so many practitioners in the academy, and even some were ranked higher than Huang Yueli in the martial arts stage. Which one of them hadn't taken the initiative to fawn on her? Now, she was being treated as a serving girl who passes messages, and to take the initiative to look for Huang Yueli and teach her how to maintain the profound armaments? Li Xuaner didn't dare to defy her master, and could only dilly-dallied as she walked outwards, but whoever knew that when she just walked to the entrance, she heard what Su Qingwei said. Her master voluntarily accepted Huang Yue as a disciple. Huang Yue gave her a glance and replied with an indifferent look. Really? I think Uncle Tang's standard of accepting disciple versus what you said is totally different. Li Shueter sneered. What do you know? Although I don't know, but I have eyes to see. If Uncle Tang only accepted geniuses with unsurpassed innate talents, then why would he accept you as his disciple? Li Shuerer went into a blank before she understood her words of ridicule and immediately gritted her teeth. By Ruoli, you're saying my innate talent cannot make it? Your cultivation innate talent is indeed not bad, but you don't understand how hard it is to become an armament master. My metal and fire attribute are all at 5th grade talent. Celestial Light Academy had not seen a student with such innate talent like me for more than 10 years. 5th grade talent is very outstanding. Huang Yueli's question came from her heart. But when it fell onto Li Shuer's ears, it apparently didn't seem so. You're so ignorant. Dual metal and fire attribute are both at 5th grade and with enough power of understanding. These are the capital which I have to become Master Tang's apprentice. Forget it. An idiot like you with no armament refining talent will never understand. So you can continue to be ignorant. Just that when you go out and boast, you must take caution and not boast to the skies, saying what Master Tang voluntarily to take you in as a disciple. Ha 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 ha. It will make anyone die of laughter if this spreads. It's making me laugh until I have stitches. Su Qingwei was just standing by the side and simply could not continue listening. Li Shuer, Sister Li is also from South Yu Kingdom, the same as you, so how could you say such things about her? Moreover, this is not boasting. Earlier, Master Tang had said it personally that he wanted Sister Li to become his apprentice. Moreover, after Sister Li rejected him, he continued to persuade her for a long time just to make her agree. Li Shuer just noticed Su Qingyue's presence and glanced sideways at her with a face of contempt. You can also listen on. Su Qingyue, you don't even have the ability to earn any star currency, and you're just a trash who is already incapable of surviving in the academy, and you're still hanging around here instead of returning back to your country? And you dare to talk to me in this manner? Have you forgotten how you and your gang of trash from the south side begged me to take care of you? Li Shuer shot Huang Yue another look of ridicule. Right? You found a new target and thought that after this wretched lass by Ruoli became ranked 8th in the martial arts stage, she will be able to protect you guys? Too bad. No matter how powerful she is, she's just a practitioner and will never be able to be on the same standing as a valued armament master. You dash. Su Qingyue's face flushed red from embarrassment and anger. Li Shuer, before you became Master Tang's apprentice, hadn't you also hung around with us? Have you forgotten how much help we rendered to you when you needed to complete Master Tang's test? And now you're saying such things. Where on heavens would you find someone as shameless and as ungrateful as you? Li Shuer went into an obvious blank when the beans were spilled and apparently seemed slightly guilty, but immediately her face turned even more sinister. Su Qingwei, what guts you have? You dare to talk to a high-leveled armament apprentice to me like that? Do you know what price you have to pay for infuriating me? Do you even want to hang around in Celestial Light Academy? Ew. Su Qingyue's eyes turned red from anger, but she bit on her lips, not daring to continue speaking. The status of an armament apprentice like Li Shuer, with such innate talent in Celestial Light Academy, was not lower than the top 5 core students in the martial arts stage. Moreover, there were many more abled and powerful core students with high ranks who automatically came and curry favor with her. So although Li Shuer couldn't deal with Huang Yue, this kind of strong woman, but to handle an ordinary student like Su Qingwei was just like moving one little finger. The kind of threat was absolutely not just talking big. Li Shuer saw that she was afraid and laughed delightfully. One trash like you also dare to, I think. You're the trash? Li Shuer was cut off by someone and looked fiercely at Huang Yue. Humph humph. By Ruoli, don't be too complacent. Although you're ranked 8th in the martial arts stage, but before you are 7 even more outstanding practitioners. Oh right, ever since that new senior brother came, your ranking had dropped by 1 space, and you're now only ranked number 9. Huang Yueli looked at Li Shui'er in surprise. You know who this new senior brother is? Hee, who cares who he is? Anyway, a cheap thing like you will never be comparable to a peerless talent. Li Shui'er stopped talking as her face subconsciously flushed a tinge of red. Although she had never seen this senior brother personally, but she heard a lot of people saying that not only was this senior brother's ability super high beyond one's imagination, he also had an extremely good-looking face. Ever since Li Shui'er had cut off all ties with Lei Zichu, she had always wanted to look for an even stronger backing, and her previous target was Mr. Yuan. But now that Mr. Yuan had been defeated, she realized that only this new senior brother was worthy of her, an armament refining genius. Huang Yueli didn't miss her ever-changing expression and thought for a moment before understanding what Li Shui'er was thinking about, and almost burst out in laughter. If Li Shui'er came to know that this new senior brother was her second brotherly Moing, whom she hated the most, she wondered if she would throw up blood on the spot. You can also listen on. Li Shui'er tried hard to conceal her ever-changing expressions as she burst out. By Raoli, just you wait and see. Next time I hear you creating rumors, lies such as my master wanting to take you in as his disciple, then don't blame me for finding an even more powerful expert to teach you a lesson. After she said her piece, she turned around angrily and prepared to leave. Wait a minute! An arm outstretched and blocked her way. Li Shui'er raised her head in shock. What are you trying to do? Huang Yueli slowly responded. Did I say that you can leave? Such arrogant words made Li Shui'er infuriate instantly as she stared daggers at her. By Raoli, get your facts right. I still have work which my master instructed to complete, so I'm letting you off and not haggling with you, but you dare to block my way? Do you know who you're talking to? Did you really think that you're ranked top 10 in the martial arts stage, and you can act impolitely to a future armament master? Huang Yueli gave a sarcastic smile as she took a step forward and blocked Li Shui'er away as she instantly unleashed the grandeur from within. You're just an armament apprentice, not even a first-ranked armament master. You really think you're some big shot? And do you know who you're talking to? Why would I not know? Aren't you just ranking number 9 in the martial arts stage? Li Shui'er was suppressed by the grandeur from her and felt that her heart was swirling and her legs were soft, but she didn't want to express her weakness in front of Huang Yueli as she summoned up courage and continued speaking. Huang Yueli replied chillingly, merely ranked 9, but I'm a practitioner whose ability is way higher than you. You think armament masters are very amazing? Armament masters' value comes from the bestowment from the strong. If the strong values you, then you are a valued armament master. If they don't, then you're just a piece of trash with low cultivation. A real armament master with brains absolutely would not dare to speak to a practitioner whose ability is stronger than himself in such a way. What she said was merely the truth. In the entire soaring heavens continent, ultimately one's power and cultivation was the hard truth. Although skilled people like armament masters and pill masters were valuable, but this value and respect was given by other people and was not inevitable and right. If one really made the strong infuriated, and to kill a low-leveled and skilled armament master was something which was irresistible. In her previous life, she also relied on Mu Chungying, who was standing behind her. So she went on a rampage without any hesitation. Huang Yueli stepped towards her, forcing Li Shui'er to step backwards until eventually she couldn't stand properly and fell onto the ground. Apparently you're brainless. But on account that we both are from South Yu Kingdom, I don't mind waste a bit of effort to teach you this lesson. As Huang Yueli was speaking, the fire attributed profound energy came spurting out from within as her right hand waved slightly and a fire arrow shot towards Li Shui'er's chest. Li Shui'er gave an ear-shrieking cry of pain and flew towards the outside. Li Shui'er flew rather far out, and when she fell onto the ground, there was a loud bang which sounded exceptionally scary. Su Qinghue was scared stiff from this scenario, and as she looked back towards Huang Yueli, her expression was filled with reverence for her. She actually dared to beat up Master Tang's beloved disciple, the armament apprentice Li Shui'er, who had the most outstanding future. Li Shui'er fell too far away, and the two of them were not able to see where she fell from their positions, and only saw Li Shui'er seeming coughing out blood in the sky, where she was still falling. No matter how Su Qinghue thought, she felt even more frightened. This, Li, Sister Li, you really beat Li Shui'er. This, what should we do? We have gotten into trouble. You can also listen on. Get into trouble? Huang Yueli's face was filled with disapproval. Why would this be called getting into trouble? Celestial Light Academy had never prohibited students from fighting, as long as we don't kill that person or depose them. When I made the move, I had paid extra attention, and just making her crash like that would not kill her. Su Qinghue's face turned pale, not knowing how to continue. This Sister Li of hers indeed was extremely powerful, and her character was not bad, but just a little too wild and too arrogant. Every single time, she would make those standing around her terrified. Did she really know what she was doing? But, Sister Li, this is not an ordinary student who you just beaten. She is Li Shui'er. To beat up an armament apprentice, you will face a lot of trouble later on. Moreover, Li Shui'er is Master Tang's beloved student, so what will Master Tang think? Besides that, among many core students, there are just too many who had feelings for Li Shui'er, and if she were to find someone to exact revenge on you, what should we do? Huang Yueli laughed. Sister Su, don't worry and relax. Master Tang wanted to take me in as his disciple, so that means my innate talent is much better than Li Shui'er's. So would he bother to create trouble for me, just for her? As for those people who wants to help Li Shui'er to give me trouble, if they dare to come, I will let them understand what is meant by behind the mountains. There are people of greater existence. Su Qinghue was so anxious that she kept stomping her feet. Ugh, I know you're powerful, but I heard that even a martial arts stage ranked first. Young Master Yuan had been wooing Li Shui'er. You don't know how powerful he is. A new student like you is absolutely incomparable to him. She felt that she was so anxious for Li Shui'er until her heart was almost broken, but unfortunately the emperor wasn't worried, but the eunuch was worried dead. Huang Yueli gave a calm smile. We haven't crossed hands, so how do you know that I cannot win him? Moreover, he is no longer martial arts rank number 1. Hadn't Li Shui'er said so herself that the new senior brother is much more powerful than him? She didn't believe that she was not able to defeat a so-called genius in an academy in the South Sky region. If this was the case, then she would have wasted the decades that she had lived in her previous life. Even if that young Master Yuan was heaven-defying, living right next to her was a demon-leveled Li Moing. As Celestial Light's sect's young sect master, there was nothing in Celestial Light Academy which he couldn't handle. She didn't have any qualms about doing anything at all. In that instant, Huang Yueli suddenly became distracted. This feeling seemed to make her return to her previous life, where she had Mu Chungying as her backing and allowed her to go on a rampage in the entire Soaring Heavens continent. AI, why don't you listen to persuasion? Su Qinghue persuaded patiently. Huang Yueli couldn't take her nagging and quickly changed topics. All right, I've already selected my profound armaments at the profound weapon chambers, and following that I'm only left with selection of cultivation methods and profound skills at the scripture depository. The day is not young anymore, and I want to go to the Academy's cafeteria to have my lunch. Let's quickly make haste and make our way there. Su Qinghue turned around and led the way. The both of them walked for almost 1 hour before they reached their destination. Celestial Light Academy's scripture depository was situated in the middle of a ravine and was surrounded by mountains. Its natural defense same from the territory. Making use of the natural terrain, a 6-tier defense array was set up in its surroundings. It was the highest tier array which Huang Yueli had seen in Celestial Light Academy. From this, it could have been seen on how important the scripture depository was toward an academy. You can also listen on. There were quite a number of people in the scripture depository, but it was extremely quiet. Whenever anyone passed by, they were light-handed and light-footed, trying hard not to make any noise. When Huang Yuli stepped inside, she acutely felt some profound energy vibrations from the various corners of this building, and even a sense of being spied on. This meant that Celestial Light Academy had arranged a number of high-leveled experts to oversee the scripture depository, and in this place, there were 7 high-leveled experts' presences here. As she sensed this, Huang Yuli also restrained herself and controlled her own profound energy in case she attracted any unnecessary trouble. She walked to the registration counter for course students and drew out her identity token, passing it to the managing teacher in charge. "Good afternoon, teacher. I am this year's new student Biroli, and I'm here to exchange for the entrance examinations reward." The managing teacher received and checked her identity token and couldn't help but took a few more glances at her. "So you're the new top student, the one who defeated Lei Zichu in the martial arts stage." Huang Yuli smiled. "That's me." The managing teacher gave a smile. "You're really something? A newly enrolled student, and you're already ranked 8th at the martial arts stage. This is something that had not happened before, and I heard you're by Lu Feng's daughter. Your talent is even stronger than your father's. As expected, like father, like daughter. It's just luck," Huang Yuli humbly said. Su Qingwei looked on with envy as Huang Yuli exchanged conventional greetings with the managing teacher. The manager of the scripture depository was different from the other managers in the academy. As the scripture depository was of great importance, to prevent the possibility of cultivation methods being leaked or accidental matters like this, any manager's cultivation level in the scripture depository were all at least 5-stage realm and above. This managing teacher that they were facing was a 6-stage realm practitioner. All the teachers in Celestial Light Academy were all very powerful, and their usual attitude towards core students were not cold nor hot. But now he was very courteous towards Huang Yuli. It was just different when you have the ability. I won't waste any more of your time. The reward that you have gotten is any cultivation method or profound skills in the first 3 levels of the scripture depository. There are a total of 2 books, so you must choose carefully. Saying that, the managing teacher pointed towards the inner zone of the scripture depository. I'll give you a simple introduction. The scripture depository has a total of 4 levels. First floor rooms start with you, 10th, Su 11th, High 12th, and behind every number are a total of 12 rooms. And are all yellow grade cultivation method and profound skills. Second floor rooms start with Wu 7th, Wei 8th, Shun 9th, and in each of the 9 rooms are black grade medium level and lower level cultivation methods and profound skills. Third floor rooms start with Mao 4th, Chun 5th, Si 6th, and in each of the 6th rooms are black grade upper level cultivation methods and profound skills. As for the 4th floor, which is the highest floor, starts with Z 1st, Cho 2nd, and Yin 3rd, has only 3 rooms, and in it there are earth grade lower level cultivation methods and profound skills. For now, you can only enter the first 3 floors. To a 3rd stage realm practitioner, to be able to master 2 black grade upper level manuals will absolutely be an improvement to your ability. As you're still young, the allowance for you to upgrade your space is still very large, so my advice is to choose cultivation methods or types like that to aid you in your future cultivation. To an academy, to be able to keep stock of such a high volume of cultivations methods was something which is worth to flaunt about. Not to mention, they had a total of 9 rooms worth of earth grade cultivation methods and profound skills. If it was outside the academy, any one of the earth grade cultivations could be sold at a shocking sky-high price. No wonder the scripture depository was heavily guarded. Understand now. Huang Yuli thanked the managing teacher and walked towards the inner zone of the scripture depository. You can also listen on. Su Qingwei also wanted to follow, but was stopped. Only the one who had obtained the qualification to exchange is allowed to enter. So this student, please wait outside. Su Qingwei's face turned stiff as she backed down and laughed in embarrassment. Then, sisterly, I'll wait here for you. Huang Yuli nodded, All right, I won't waste too much time, and we'll be out soon. When a managing teacher heard what she said, he frowned unhappily as he butted in. Miss Bai, I must remind you that even among the core students, to be able to enter the first 3 floors to exchange for cultivation methods or profound skills, this chance does not come by often. You must choose carefully the cultivation method that you want and not waste this chance. Spend more time looking around. Su Qinghua also added, "That's right, Sister Li, don't ever rush. Take your time to choose. I'm in no rush." From what she saw, choosing cultivation methods and profound armaments were completely different matters. When choosing profound armaments, Huang Yueli could still choose based on her good foresight, and chose those profound armaments with purity, lustrousness, and the rest to judge their merits and drawbacks. But cultivation methods' advantage or disadvantage could not be seen just from the surface, and even if it was categorized based on grade, but to determine which book was suitable was oneself. One would still have to open and read each book to decide. Even just by reading the first page of every book, that would already require a lot of time. So this matter could not be rushed. Huang Yuli shrugged her shoulders, and without any further explanation, she turned around and entered the inner zone. The inner zone of the scripture depository was exactly as what the managing teacher introduced. When she just entered the first floor, it started room number 1 all the way to room number 12. Along the way, it was completely packed to the brim as it spread out with various types of cultivation methods and profound skills. In the first few rooms, Huang Yueli didn't linger on, but continued walking and walked all the way onto the 3rd floor. The number of students on the 3rd floor instantly decreased. Only about 10 over students inside. Seeing an apparently young girl walking inwards, a male student stood up and said, "This junior sister, this is the 3rd floor, and only core students can enter." However, Huang Yuli didn't reply to him, but only flashed her identity token, and the array eye at the entrance flashed for a moment before the door opened, and she walked in directly. Everyone in the room went into a blank as the gazes in their eyes towards her changed. This kind of age, she was obviously a new student, and yet to be able to enter the 3rd level of the scripture depository, her status was instantly revealed. This should be the legendary new top student by Ruoli. That's right, it must be her. I heard that new top student's first prize reward is to get 2 manuals of cultivation methods in the first 3 floors of the scripture depository. I never expected her to look so beautiful. Those campus belles in our academy cannot be compared to her. What's strange about being good-looking? Her ability is not just based on her looks. She's also ranked 8th in the martial arts stage. Heavens, I cannot imagine. I absolutely can never reach that level in this entire lifetime of mine. Everyone discussed in whispers as they looked curiously at Huang Yueli's direction. I wonder what cultivation methods and profound skills will a genius like her choose. I also want to know, rumors are her power of comprehension is extremely high, and she would probably choose those hard to master, but extremely powerful cultivation method. That might not necessarily be. Everyone's gazes were fixed on her back, trying to find out the legendary new student who had the best power of comprehension in the past 100 years would choose which kind of secret manuals to refine. You can also listen on. Huang Yueli knew everyone was looking at her, but she didn't treat it as anything much. Her gaze swept past rows of secret manuals as thoughts kept fleeting past. Her knowledge and experience was very broad, and unlike ordinary students who need to flip through every page, she only needed to look at the title of the book and roughly grasp an idea of it, so she saved a large amount of time. Very soon, she had already looked through the first shelf, and as she didn't find anything satisfactory, she walked to the next row. Unfortunately, there was simply 2 little cultivation methods or profound skills which Huang Yueli was interested in, and after a short while, she had already browsed through 10 over rows of shelves, and yet still not one book made her eyes glimmer. As for those core students who were staring at her with their eyes wide from behind, they looked at each other in dismay. What's the situation? Why did that new top student walk so fast? She didn't even stop to take a good look. What on earth is she searching for? Yes, that's so strange. Will she be able to find some secret manual which she needs by herself with this manner? Choosing a cultivation method or a profound skill is a delicate matter and cannot be rushed. She's making a superficial understanding from a cursory observation, so what can she even derive from this? AI. I heard she's from a small country by the boundary, so I'm afraid she didn't have any experience in such a huge scripture depository before. Did she think that she would be able to find something useful for herself just by looking around like that? Looks like she can only choose any 2 books casually, so this is a wasted trip. At that moment, everyone had assumed that Huang Yueli didn't know what she was doing, so they were rather disappointed with her. They had initially thought of observing to see what kind of cultivation method the 100-year genius would choose, so as to use it as a referential purpose for themselves. But from the looks of it now, it seemed that they really thought too much. Huang Yueli, however, didn't bother what the others were thinking of and continued to walk around. She had already toured the entire first room under Lu and didn't find anything suitable. She was just about to go to the next room when suddenly from the corner of her eye, she seemed to have seen something as her eyes lit up. In the corner of the room laid some books. The only thing was those secret manuals on the bookshelves were laid in order. Although there was a mixture of new and old, but at least it was clean and tidy. Some especially old manuals were carefully bounded with a protective book cover on the outside. However, that pile of books, which laid in the corner, was totally different. All of it were wrinkled and broken, some even shedding yellow marks. If it wasn't kept in the scripture depository, other people might have mistaken it as a pile of old brown paper. Huang Yueli shot up toward that pile and picked one book out from there. This secret manual was extremely old, and the first few pages had a large tear mark. Apparently, the first half of the portion had at least 10 over pages being torn off, so even the cover was no longer there. What was worse was in the remaining last few pages. It was not any ordinary words, but various tadpole sort of symbols, which was illiterate. But such a mutilated set of cultivation method made Huang Yueli reveal a smile. Looks like Celestial Light Academy still has some good stuff. They actually have this Heavenly Immortal Dance score. Heavenly Immortal Dance score was a zither score from the God Realm, which had circulated to an ancient mystic region, which she found in her previous life while training there. To normal zither masters, this zither score could only be used to play music, but for someone with such great concentration and practitioners who use the zither as a weapon, the ancient zither score was equivalent to a set of deep, profound skill. You can also listen on. But on today's soaring heavens continent, there were very few practitioners who inherited the zither skills, and the only one who made any achievement was only Huang Yueli, so an ancient zither itself wasn't worth much at all. When Huang Yueli got hold of the Heavenly Immortal Dance score, in her previous life, she realized that the zither score's power was huge and was a heaven-grade profound skill. But unfortunately, the second half of the score was missing. She thought of many ways, even using a 9th-grade profound armament as a reward source for this zither score in the entire soaring heavens continent, but ultimately, she still couldn't find it. She had never expected to find the whereabouts of the second half of the score in Celestial Light Academy's scripture depository. Huang Yueli delightfully flipped through the second half of the Heavenly Immortal Dance score once and kept it away. Seeing that there wasn't anything else interesting, she turned around and prepared to leave. As she passed by the entrance, she met the male student who tried to pick up a conversation with her earlier with a shocked expression. He wanted to speak, but did not do so on second thoughts, but eventually he still went up ahead. That, Junior Sister Bai, I'd like to remind you on this. Although this secret manual is not complete and is found in the pile of books which are going to be deposed, but if you really wanted to bring it away from the scripture depository, it will still take up one slot of the cultivation method, which you can exchange. Huang Yueli nodded her head. Amen, I know. Thank you, senior brother. The male student saw her still holding on to that secret manual, frowned, and continued to persuade her. This, you really intend to exchange for this secret manual? Huang Yueli replied, That's right. The male student responded, Actually, that pile of books had been there for years. When I first entered Celestial Light Academy, I had already seen it. Although the grade of these secret manuals are very high, they're all Earth grade and above cultivation methods, and profound skills. But because it is not complete, they are all left on the third floor. In the past, several core students who are ranked in the top few geniuses had also coveted these Earth-grade cultivation methods, thinking that they might be able to take an advantage, so they exchanged for these incomplete cultivation methods. But in the end, none of them had managed to learn it at all. Instead, they had wasted a precious chance for exchange. Moreover, when they exchanged, it was merely short of 1 or 2 pages, but yours is short by an entire half-book. What's more, there are no words on this secret manual at all. Only some scribble-like drawings. You really want to choose this book? Huang Yueli wanted to laugh. These practitioners who had been treated like geniuses to nurture since young had not much experience in dabbling with things such as music, and they didn't even know what a zither score was. But although this male student was nosy, but his intention was good, so Huang Yueli didn't want to offend him. Thank you, senior brother, for your reminder. I can tell that this secret manual's grade is the highest among the rest, and it seemed to be heaven grade lower level. Although there's only half a book left, but I had never seen a heaven grade profound skill in my entire life before. I must go back and pay homage to this book so as to increase my knowledge. Anyway, there will be plenty of chances for exchange in future. If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave first. After Huang Yueli finished her sentence, she nodded at him and turned around to leave. The male student displayed a look that seemed to have been struck by lightning as he stood there blankly, looking at her departing figure. The others also started to discuss, in whispers, what on earth is that new top student thinking of? Who knows? Perhaps she thought that she was able to charge into martial arts stage top 10 when she just entered the school, so she self-inflated terribly. Half of the cultivation method is no longer available and still intend to practice? Let's see how she will regret it after she wasted this chance for exchange. You can also listen on. Huang Yueli left Lu Room number 1 and followed the serene and narrow corridor as she continued walking ahead. Lu Room number 2, Lu Room number 3, Lu Room number 4. As she looked at the door plates hanging on the 2 sides of the corridor, something seemed to flash past her mind, but she was unable to catch hold of it. It was only after she walked one round at Lu Room number 2 and derived nothing when she stood once again at the corridor when a thought suddenly struck her. Right, her father by Lu Feng had left a few words on the back of his Celestial Light Academy Core Student's identity token, which was E number 3, left 11, up 29. At that time, when she was still in South Yu Kingdom, she was totally unable to comprehend the riddle of these figures, but now looking at these number plates, she suddenly understood. In room number 3. This apparently was the room number which had many cultivation methods and profound skills in the scripture depository. As for left 11, up 29, similar to what she had seen in the other rooms, it should be the numbering of the bookshelves and cultivation methods, which meant that the remnant that by Lu Feng left behind for her should be kept in the scripture depositor of Celestial Light Academy. Could it be that he left behind some sort of heaven-grade cultivation method? It had better not be so. She had no interest in heaven-grade cultivation methods at all. He might as well have left her some high-level materials. Huang Yueli was not able to hide her happiness. After being muddled for so long, she finally understood what the clue meant. Looked like coming to Celestial Light Academy was an absolutely correct choice. At this point of time, she couldn't be bothered to pick out any cultivation methods, as she hurriedly turned around and ran toward the opposite direction. Very quickly, she reached the entrance of the E-numbered rooms. But when she reached the entrance, Huang Yueli's footsteps came to a halt. Looking at the defensive array at the entrance, she suddenly recalled something. That's right. E-room number 3 was on the 4th floor of the scripture depository. Right now, she had no authority to enter. Based on the level of her array skills, she would probably be able to break open this defensive array, but the scripture depository was after all guarded by the 7-stage rel practitioners, and if she alerted them, it would be difficult for her to get out of this. Huang Yueli stood at the entrance and thought for a while before turning around and walked back to the entrance of the scripture depository. When a managing teacher saw her, he instantly displayed a shocked expression. "Miss Bai, You've already chosen in such a short while? Isn't your speed a little too fast? Didn't I remind you earlier? You must be careful and serious when selecting a cultivation method. Have you really looked through carefully? Huang Yueli shook her head. Teacher, I haven't selected finish. I just want to ask, under what circumstances will I be able to enter the fourth floor of the scripture depository? The managing teacher went into a blank. Scripture depository fourth floor? You want to go to the fourth floor? He apparently disapproved. Although your innate talent is very good, but you have just joined the academy and had not learnt much cultivation methods. Those Earth-grade lower-level secret manuals on the third floor is enough for you to learn. To put it bluntly, the way of cultivation is a step-by-step process, and you shouldn't bite off more than you can chew. Huang Yueli pursed her lips, trying to control her extremely anxious feelings. Teacher, I can understand the things you're trying to tell me. I only wanted to know, how will I be able to enter the fourth floor of the scripture depository? I am already in the top 10 of the martial arts stage, and since I cannot enter now, does it mean that I have to become rank number 1 among the core students before I can enter? You can also listen on. Recalling the Past by Lu Feng was ranked first among the core students, and since he was able to hide the clue in room number 3 naturally meant that he had the qualifications to enter. However, Huang Yueli didn't expect the managing teacher to shake his head when he heard her question. It's not as simple as you think. Even if you're ranked first among the core students, you cannot enter the fourth floor of the scripture depository as you liked. Honor points are required if you want to enter the fourth floor to select cultivation methods and profound skills. Honor points? Were those? Huang Yueli frowned as she asked. Honor points is the reward for special contributions to the academy. This type of special contribution can indeed bring about a major advantage for the academy and not something as ordinary as getting first in the examinations. The creases on Huang Yueli's brows grew tighter. What special contribution? It sounded much more difficult than getting first. She wondered what was the criterion that Celestial Light Academy had set. Then what are considered as special contributions? Those that can obtain honor points? Managing teacher rarely had such patience, as these matters are usually self-explanatory in the information booklet that were distributed to new students when they first enrolled into the academy. But as Huang Yueli was a new student and had just entered the academy, moreover, she was such a rare, outstanding genius. Managing teacher made an exception and started explaining to her. There are many kinds of special contributions. For example, when the other academies in South Sky region challenges Celestial Light Academy, if you're chosen to represent the academy and manage to defeat the opponent, then you'll be able to obtain honor points. Another example is every 5 years, South Sky region will organize a youth tournament, and if you obtain a good ranking, that would also give you honor points. Other examples. Managing teacher delightfully explained a huge load of examples, and the more Huang Yueli heard, the more chilly her heart became. Then, teacher, are there any academies who are challenging Celestial Light Academy recently? When will the next youth tournament be held? Regarding this, Celestial Light Academy is well-deserved of being the number 1 military institution, and there hasn't been any challenges from other schools for several decades. As he was saying that, he puffed out his chest with an honored look. The youth tournament was just held last year, and there are still 4 more years before the next tournament. Huang Yueli was rendered speechless, unable to accept that her luck was that bad. From what the managing teacher said, didn't that mean that she had no way to enter the fourth floor of the scripture depository at all? Seeing Huang Yueli's face turn unsightly, the managing teacher added some meaningful and heartfelt words. Young girl, don't be so hasty. The academy will sometimes have some special situations and will distribute out some tasks which can obtain honor points. If you stay at the academy for 2 to 3 years, you will definitely have a chance. So, what's the rush? You should just master the cultivation methods on the 3rd floor first. Huang Yueli's mouth twitched, not intending to explain further to the managing teacher. Since she knew that she was definitely not able to enter the 4th floor today, she eventually calmed down. There are always ways, and she can only come out with it later on. She turned around and re-entered the scripture depository and went one round at the entrance of the fourth floor, roughly remembered the surrounding topography. After this, she casually entered a room on the third floor and saw a profound skill of Earth-grade lower-level manual and brought it out. Nearing the scripture depository entrance, she passed this manual along with the extant fragment of the Heavenly Immortal Dance score to the managing teacher. You can also listen on. Managing teacher saw the two secret manuals that she left on the table and immediately frowned. This, Miss Bai, these are the two secret manuals which you selected? Yes, Huang Yueli replied. Managing teacher glanced at her speechlessly. Are you sure you want to choose these two books? One is the extant fragments of a heaven-grade cultivation method, and there is at least half of the book missing, so it's impossible to master this, whereas the other is an Earth-attributed Earth-grade lower-level profound skill. Aren't you fire-attributed? Why did you choose an Earth-attributed book for? And it's a profound skill. Cultivation method is much more difficult than profound skill. Huang Yueli spoke in a neither obsequious nor supercilious tone. I have my own intentions, so teacher, please help me to register. The second secret manual which she selected was an Earth-attributed defensive, sort of profound skill. She was mainly cultivating with fire-attributed profound skill, but in terms of attack power, she had an absolute advantage, but in defense-wise, she was lacking much, so she purposely chose an Earth-grade profound skill, which was powerful in terms of defense as a reference. Managing teacher was completely defeated by this new top student. From since she entered the door of the scripture depository, he had given her so many heartfelt advices. But not only did she not hear what he said, the decision she made was totally different from normal people and didn't pay any attention to his heartfelt suggestions. Did she really thought that she was very outstanding just because she had several notches of innate talent? Managing teacher crooned, "Don't blame me for not reminding you. The academy has its regulations that a student can simultaneously cultivate two secret manuals from the scripture depository at one time, which means if you didn't manage to cultivate these two secret manuals, even if you have a future chance to exchange for secret manuals, you will not be able to borrow any other manuals. Are you absolutely sure you want to borrow these?" Huang Yueli nodded her head without any hesitation. Absolutely sure. Managing teacher couldn't be bothered to advise any further as he took the secret manuals and completed her registration process. Under everyone's whispering, she left the scripture depository. She had been busy for an entire day, and as she returned to her own courtyard, upon opening her door, she received a huge shock. On her tidy bed laid a handsome man whose clothes were half undressed. "You? Limoying, what are you doing here? Don't you know this is my room? You haven't received the owner's agreement to enter, so don't you feel embarrassed for entering?" Limoying's hand was supporting his head as he had a black sleeping robe on loosely draped over his body, his chest muscles half exposed. His long hair seemed to be washed and wasn't completely dry, with droplets of water sliding downwards from his perfectly contoured cheek with some indolent sense of charm. Even though Huang Yueli was in a fit of anger, but seeing such scenario, she subconsciously swallowed her saliva. This man really looks too perfect and simply too demonic. Limoying's deep eyes were fixed on her as the corners of his lips curled up into a smile. "Little thing, the words you say is too ceremonious. We are fiancé and fiancée, so your room. Isn't it my room as well?" Huang Yueli's mouth twitched. "You also know that we are an unwed couple. Since we are unwed and you still come running to my room. Which country has this ridiculous rules? Moreover, have I agreed to let you enter?" Limoying disapprovingly replied, "Although you didn't agree, but your spiritual pet had, and it had personally opened the door for me. You can also listen on." Huang Yueli was stunned for a moment, but immediately after her expression turned green as she gritted her teeth and hissed, "Wang, C.I-." From the direction of the room door came a pitter-patter sound, as though someone had knocked down something in a state of flurry. Huang Yueli shot towards the entrance and pulled open the door when she saw a little figure hastily escaping. As little Phoenix ran, it was on the verge of bursting into tears. Chirp, chirp, chirp. He was too innocent and too wronged. First was a scary female devil, then came along an even terrifying demon than the female devil, none of which he could afford to offend. Lemoyne's terrifying existence made him open the door, so could he defy? At that time, this entire bird was shock stiff, all right? But if he opened the door, he would suffer with the female devil's revenge. Chirp, chirp, chirp. It was too difficult to be a phoenix. Huang Yueli was really very angry, but before she could run outside, she was held back by Lemoyne from behind. The man's robust arms wound around her waist and holding her in his embrace. His sturdy chest affixed on her back, and a warm sensation could be felt as Huang Yueli's face instantly flushed red. What are you trying to do? Let me go. Can't you understand human language? Lemoyne lowered his head and gently gave her a peck as he laughed. Yesterday, we had already met each other with sincerity, so what does it matter if we hug now? You were not around in your courtyard for the entire day, so where have you been? Huang Yueli's lips twitched once again. What met with sincerity? Yesterday was just an accident. I'm very grateful to you for rendering me assistance at the critical time of my advancement, but that doesn't mean that you can get fresh with me. Lemoyne released his hands and innocently replied, All right, I shan't touch you, so don't be so fierce. Yesterday, I wasted so much profound energy to help you, and you're treating me like this? Shouldn't you be thinking of a way to repay me instead? Huang Yueli rolled her eyes at him in an unhappy mood. What do you want? Although she indeed felt grateful to Lemoyne and wanted to find a suitable chance to repay him, but he actually turned up himself to request for repayment. It would be weird if there was no conspiracy. Indeed, Lemoyne immediately replied. As the saying goes, if you have no way of repaying huge kindness, then you can devote yourself to. Before he could complete his sentence, Huang Yueli already cut him off. Fat hope. Huang Yueli raised her chin and gave him a warning look. To have been mercilessly rejected by her, Lemoyne felt slightly upset, and his fists subconsciously clenched tight. In the past, whenever he was rejected by this little thing, he wasn't angry at all because he thought she didn't understand the relationship between a man and woman, and he could teach her slowly. But now that he knew Huang Yueli's heart belonged to someone else, he would often fall into a fretful feeling. Sometimes he really wanted to grab Huang Yueli by her shoulders and pressed her against the bed, forcing her to tell him the man's name, then go and kill the man with one sword. Huang Yueli didn't think much as she usually rejected Lemoyne, and this time round, she naturally did the same thing. Moreover, she didn't feel that Lemoyne really wanted her to devote herself to him. But after she finished talking, she realized that Lemoyne didn't say a word. Huang Yueli curiously raised her head and saw the man's doleful expression with a glare which was as icy as it could be, staring straight at her. You can also listen on. What's the matter with you? Huang Yueli blinked at him, unable to understand why, when she suddenly felt a little uneasy. She seldom saw Lemoyne show such an expression, and she somewhat felt that. This man looked slightly terrifying. She thought for a moment before she asked, Are you feeling uncomfortable anywhere? Did you expend too much profound energy when you passed it on to me yesterday? The little thing in front didn't know what he was angry with, so Lemoyne felt angry and powerless at the same time. But he also knew that what Huang Yueli said the other day was unintentional, and she didn't realize that the secret was exposed. Lemoyne clenched his fists as he tried hard to suppress the anger towards her. He cannot let the truth be known. If he really said it out, then he really had no chance anymore. It would become very awkward between the two of them, and perhaps this little thing would not even talk to him anymore. Moreover, based on Huang Yueli's pride and might, if he really did something to the man that she liked in a rash, then the two of them would probably not even be friends in future. So he must endure. Lemoyne was very clear what was his major advantage, and that was the man beside Huang Yueli now was him. Moreover, he saved and helped her, so Huang Yueli could not turn her back on him and could only accept his occasional appearance from time to time. So he only needed to stick by Huang Yueli's side, and perhaps after a long time, she would be accustomed with him around and focus her attention to him instead. Thinking of this, Li Moying's feelings subsequently became peaceful as the expression on his face also softened. He sniggered as he continued. So you also knew that I expended a lot of profound energy when I passed on my profound energy to you? I had thought that you are an ungrateful little fox and would definitely not remember this. Huang Yueli blinked as she gazed at this man for a moment. On that handsome face no longer appeared that haze earlier, and his peach-blossomed eyes sparkled as per usual, as though the sense of oppression that she felt earlier was an illusion. Huang Yueli pouted her little pink lips as she mumbled discontentedly. What ungrateful. It's all because of you. Saying would devote myself to you. It's impossible, okay? If you want me to repay you, then at least give a more feasible idea, all right? Li Moying saw her fuming look as his lips curled upwards. When this little thing was talking to him, she would act coquettishly, subconsciously, without noticing it herself. Thinking of this, he really felt that the rashness that he had earlier was unnecessary. He must have more patience. Actually, there is a simple way to repay me. To you, it might just be lifting a finger, and you won't suffer any losses, so it's really up to you if you're willing to or not. Li Moying touched his chin as he gave a black-bellied laugh. Huang Yueli saw his foxy smile as her heart pounded wildly, suddenly feeling her face becoming very hot. Although she knew this fellow was up to no good, but he really looked suave. Indeed, he was a demon. Moreover, since he smiled, it proved that she had indeed saw wrongly earlier. It was just not possible for Li Moying to treat her so fiercely. Huang Yueli rest assured as she lowered her chin and asked in an unyielding, pampered tone, "What thing? Say it out directly. Why are you hemming and hawing for?" You can also listen on. Li Moying smiled. This matter is really very simple, especially simple. Nothing could be simpler than this. Say it out quickly. Huang Yueli saw his draggy attitude as she anxiously stomped her feet and hurried him. All right, about this. Li Moying raised his brows as he looked Huang Yueli in the eyes and slowly spoke. I hope that from tonight onwards, I can move to your room and we can live together. In simpler terms, accompany me to sleep at night. Get lost, dash. Huang Yueli almost jumped in fury. Earlier you just said you don't need me to devote myself to you, and now you're saying such things? Are you fooling me? I'm telling you, this is impossible, so stop. Before she could finish up what she was trying to say, an enlarged, handsome face appeared in front of her eyes. Huang Yueli instantly stopped in her tracks. This man, since when did he came so close? And he even lowered his head to get so close. Just in an instant, he had also gotten so close. Their breathing could be heard, and Huang Yueli could see his long and thick strands of lashes. At such a close distance, it was as though just one slight movement and they would kiss each other. For that one moment, Huang Yueli thought this man was going to forcefully kiss her again. However, after Huang Yueli hushed up, Li Moying moved back slightly, but still surrounded her within a range where he could reach her. Stop, stop, stop. You little thing, why are you so hasty? Don't always think of me in such a bad way, all right? Listen to me first, okay? Huang Yueli turned melancholy. If it wasn't for the fact that this man kept forcefully kissing her every other day and took advantage of her, would she even think of such things? All right, then finish up what you have to say. She raised her head and stared at him with a, I'm going to see how you're going to exaggerate expression. Li Moying didn't manage to hold back as he stretched out his hands to pinch her tender cheeks, and before she could fly into a rage, he speedily withdrew his hand. My meaning is exactly as the word says. I only want to sleep next to you, and I will absolutely not touch you at all, not even a single strand of hair. Of course, if you have any desire and lust for me, wanting to get fresh with me, I won't reject you to make you upset. When Huang Yueli heard that, her brows drooped as she couldn't take it any further and stomped towards his feet. Hey, you're beating up your husband? Li Moying stepped backwards and easily evaded her attack, but his face expressed a devastated and aggrieved look. Huang Yueli retorted angrily, You think I'm a 3-year-old kid? Or I'm some ignorant young lady who hasn't stepped out of the ladies' chamber? Sleep together. After sleeping together, you'll find a chance to touch, kiss, and after that, not be satisfied with small gains, and sooner or later you will derive at your motive. Don't you have this intention in mind? This was one of the 3 trilogies to cheating ignorant young girls to bed, and it's not like she hadn't seen the world, so how would she not know about this? Li Moying looked at her in surprise and subsequently laughed. Little thing, so your intentions are so evil. Are you preparing to wait for us to sleep together, then use this trick to cheat me? Or are you telling me that you've lusted after my body for a long time, so you'd already imagined many times how we will develop when we're on the bed? You shameless! Huang Yueli stretched out her hand and pushed his chest. All right, I understand now. You're making a fool out of me. Scram back to your courtyard now. I want to rest. You can also listen on. Huang Yueli pushed Li Moying, but he didn't nudge at all, so she furiously stared at him and increased her strength to push him, but he still didn't nudge one bit. Indeed, she also knew that the disparity between their powers were very huge, and if Li Moying really didn't want to leave, she doesn't even need to hope that she could make him leave. But she had not expected this fellow to really shamelessly hang around. Huang Yueli got angry and struck a palm strike towards his chest, and in that strike, she included a profound skill. A stream of fire-patterned illusion appeared in her palm, as scorching fire attributed profound energy lashed towards Li Moying's chest. Unfortunately, even though Huang Yueli was usually very incisive when making a move against her enemies, but in front of this man, she was still soft-hearted. Li Moying stretched out his hand and grabbed her wrist, and in a moment, he managed to strip her of her strength, and after detaining her hand, he brought her into his embrace. Why so fierce? He smiled lightly. Huang Yueli used force to withdraw her hand, but was unable to do so. What do you really want? Li Moying saw his little fox was on the verge of outburst, and he finally decided not to tease her any further as he kept his smile away and turned solemn. All right, I won't tease you anymore. There's a reason why I want to sleep with you. You know that I have the soul detachment illness since young, and my soul is not stable. Previously, there were many times when I acted up, and you've also seen it for yourself. When she heard him talking about his illness, Huang Yueli stopped struggling. So, I think you've already noticed it. You have a kind of special influence over me. When I act up, as long as you get close to me, my symptoms will reduce, and your kisses even make me gradually recover, even in the most severe situation. When he mentioned kisses, Li Moying subconsciously shifted his gaze to the lips of the young lady who was in his embrace. That pink pouty glaze looked like an oriental cherry which was blooming, tempting one to his best endurance. Huang Yueli turned red from his glare as she pursed her lips and hurriedly cut him off. That's right, it is indeed so. But why did this happen? Li Moying replied her, I'm not too sure, but ever since the first time I met you, I could feel a special presence from you, and just getting close to you will make my frustrated feelings calm down. That feeling is extremely comfortable, so I totally cannot control myself and keep wanting to stay by your side. Although I cannot explain why, but this influence indeed exists. Huang Yueli frowned. Really? No wonder ever since this man met her for the first time, he started to entangle with her. But she had heard that the treatment for soul detachment illness usually used a profound armament, like the profound lunar spirit mirror, to stabilize one's soul, and also used in coordination with some medicinal pills and such. But she had never heard before that getting close to a certain person would reduce the syndromes. This sounded a bit too ridiculous. But Li Moying absolutely did not cheat her, because when his symptoms acted up, she was able to stop him, and this had already been verified twice. However, what was the exact reason for this? Huang Yueli was still puzzled after much thought, and, as she was too engrossed, she didn't even notice that Li Moying's hand had already placed on her waist. Really? So, this is also the reason why I came to look for you tonight. Li Moying spoke in a low voice. You can also listen on. Huang Yueli raised her head and looked at him puzzled. What do you mean? Li Moying explained. Do you remember that last night when I had passed my profound energy to you, I had expended all my energy and accidentally fell asleep. In the end, I slept all the way till morning and was almost branded as a lecher by you. Huang, Yue mumbled. Then when a lady wakes up early in the morning to discover that she wasn't wearing any clothes and sleeping next to a man, wouldn't she get agitated? Li Moying shook his head and replied helplessly, Right, that's my wrongdoing. But what you don't know is in my memories, I had never slept so peacefully for a single night at all. Huang Yue was dumbfounded. Ew. She seemed to understand what Li Moying was trying to say instantly. Li Moying continued explaining, Due to the influence of the soul detachment illness, I usually find it hard to fall asleep at night. Even if I do fall asleep, I will wake up within a short frame of time, and my emotions are usually unstable. When I was young, I'd have frequent headaches, and strange images will flash past my head. It was only after my cultivation had gradually become much higher when it got slightly better. But with you by my side, I was actually able to sleep 10 to 12 hours, and not to mention that it was deep sleep. If it wasn't for the fact that you suddenly screamed, I would have felt nothing at all. His tone was extremely indifferent, as though he didn't treat it like anything important, like he was talking about another person's story. But in Huang Yueli's ears, she suddenly felt an acrid sensation and started to feel sorry and even anguish for him. Li Moying was a man whose appearance was strong and overbearing, and his ability was exceeding, seemingly without any flaws, or nothing could defeat him. But in actual fact, he had taken a lot of hardship and endured many sins. He had grown from a young weakling to a strong man gradually. Huang Yue tipped her toes as she placed her hand on his shoulder and gently patted him. Really? You will sleep especially well beside me? Her fair, delicate face was right in front of his eyes, and that pair of autumn water eyes kept sparkling, revealing the worries and uneasiness in her eyes. Li Moying's heart was set at ease as his tone soon turned as gentle as water. Really, my little thing, so can you pity me and allow me to rest beside you? I swear that I will absolutely not do anything to you. Huang Yue stared at his handsome face as she went deep in her thoughts, and her lips unconsciously pouted. This man was just too sinister, and this was stepping on her vulnerable spot. If he had continued to be so intense and overbearing, then she definitely would not listen to him, but he purposely made himself out to be so pitiful. Li Moying's eyes were exceptionally seductive, and at this moment, he looked at her with tender sentiments, making her heart skip several beats, not knowing how to reject him at all. Anyway, he said he wouldn't do anything to her. It was just borrowing a bed only. As a practitioner who went out to train, there were times when the conditions were not very good, so they slept all together on the ground. It should not be counted as anything, right? Huang Yue nodded her head. A glint of joy flashed by his eyes immediately as his arms withdrew and locked her into a warm and tight embrace. Lier, you're wonderful. I knew it. You treat me the best. You will absolutely not leave me alone. Huang Yue was caught by surprise as she was held into his full embrace. You can also listen on. Huang Yueli's face was plastered laterally onto his chest, and she could clearly felt sturdy, robust chest muscles beneath that thin piece of material, firm and strong, giving off a pure man's powerful presence. The warm breath caressing the back of her ear made her felt ineffably reassured. A slender and delicate hand was pressed against Li Moying's chest, wanting to push him away, but eventually softly resting on top without any strength. Li Moying noticed that she had softened up and took things one step further as he hugged her without letting go. Huang Yue allowed him to hug her for a while, but eventually realized that something was not right and used her strength to push him. Have you hugged enough or not? Not, Li Moying replied resolutely. Huang Yueli's mouth twitched. Earlier we agreed on this that you will not get fresh with me. Otherwise, all right, I've hugged enough. Earlier I was just too excited. Lear, don't you have a bit of compassion at all? When Li Moying heard what she said, he immediately took a step backward as he raised both hands in a surrender position and at the same time displayed an innocent look as he grumbled. Huang Yue pursed her lips, looking at him in disbelief. deeply feeling that she seemed to have made a wrong decision, as if she had led Wolf into the house. You guarantee that you will not do anything to me that you're not supposed to do? I guarantee. Huang Yuli stared at him for a moment more, and although she didn't feel too assured, but Li Moying's terrifying look when his illness acted up stayed in her memory, and plus the fact that she knew at the back of her mind that when this man acted shamelessly, no matter how she chased him away, it was fruitless, so she might as well agree to his request. She thought for a moment when she lifted the blanket on the bed and folded it into a thin divider before placing it onto the middle of the big bed. It looked like a small mountain diving the big bed into two halves. You will take one half, and I will take the other half. No one is allowed to cross the boundary. Li Moying looked at the blanket on the bed and was rendered speechless. At the same time, he couldn't help but lament that his little fox was really getting smarter and more difficult to cheat her. Like this current example, if he wanted to get fresh with her, the difficulty had increased by quite a bit. He nodded. Right, I'll listen to whatever you say, as long as you agree to take me in. Huang Yuli was satisfied. The negotiation between the two of them wasted quite an amount of time, and at this moment, the night was no longer young. Huang Yuli climbed onto the inside of the big bed to lay down, and she pulled the blanket up, covering up to her chin as a pair of big eyes looked around alertly at the man on the other side of her bed. Li Moying swept her a glance as his lips curled upwards. Lear, it's already summer. Don't you feel hot covering up so much? Not hot, really? But your forehead seems clammy. Looks like you're sweating quite a bit. You saw it wrongly. All right, then treat it as I've seen it wrongly. Li Moying looked at her tensed expression as his mood turned for the better. If it was said that he was disappointed earlier because he didn't get to take advantage of his little fox, then now his heart was filled completely with happiness. Looking at Huang Yuli stretching out her little paw secretly to wipe off the sweat on her forehead, Li Moying's smile on his lips became deeper. Just thinking that he would be able to see her cute expressions every day already made him very satisfied. He didn't insist of having any substantial relationship with her. After all, she would be his sooner or later. Li Moying took off his outer robe and boots under a careful watch and laid properly on the other side of the big bed, with no intention of crossing the boundary that Huang Yuli had set up. You can also listen on. Li Moying's deep voice was heard. Good night, Lear. Good night. Huang Yuli responded quietly. She stretched out her finger and pointed as the light on the table was extinguished immediately and the room was totally pitch black. Huang Yuli was initially anxious, worried that after Li Moying came onto the bed, he would do something so in the darkness. She held on tightly to the blanket and refused to let go. At the same time, her ears perked up listening to every single movement coming from Li Moying's side. But very quickly, Li Moying's breathing became lighter and longer. Apparently, he had already entered dreamland. What? He slept even faster than me. Still claim that he can't sleep every day? Could he be lying to me? Huang Yuli turned her head to the side, and using the dim light shining in from the window, she looked at the man who laid beside her. Li Moying laid quietly, both eyes shut and his long eyelashes resembling a little fan drooped down. The usually stern and overbearing man looked extremely relaxed and tranquil at this moment, and his lips maintained an upward curl. Huang Yuli felt unbalanced. She was anxious for an entire night, and she couldn't even sleep while the man who claimed that he had insomnia slept this well. She couldn't help but stretched out her hand and pinched his upright nose bridge. Li Moying's eyebrows puckered up, but he didn't wake up, only subconsciously shaking his head. Just like a pig, Huang Yuli didn't manage to wake him, but realized that she was acting senseless, so she withdrew her hand. The room was very quiet, only with the light, breathing sound coming from the man lying beside her, ranging rhythmically like a lullaby. Huang Yuli unknowingly also fell asleep. In the middle of the night, Huang Yuli suddenly woke up with a start as she rubbed her tummy. She realized that she seemed to have drank too much water last night and was woken by the urge to pass urine. She wanted badly to relieve herself, but Li Moying was lying on the outside side of the bed, and if she wanted to get out, It was very inconvenient. Huang Yuli bit her lips as she hesitated, but as she couldn't control her urge, she could only climb softly and quietly over. As she was climbing past Li Moying's body, she leaned halfway over and using her elbow to support her body, one leg first surmounted over Li Moying's body. Just as she was about to move her other leg over, Li Moying seemed to be alerted by her huge movements as he let out a light and sigh, and his arms also moved. Just nice, it swept across Huang Yueli's waist. His build was lofty, whereas Huang Yueli was maintaining a position like a little puppy leaning on the bed without using much strength. His arm pressed against her waist as she fell forward entirely, falling flat onto Li Moying's chest. Wu dash! Huang Yueli's long and delicate nose banged onto the man's stiff chest and immediately felt a painful sensation, her tears almost flowing out. She blinked her eyes and managed to suppress the painful feeling with great difficulty, but then she realized that her position was very embarrassing. She was actually leaning entirely onto Li Moying's body, and both her legs were straddled on the two sides of Li Moying's body, riding just on top of his waist, and the two mounds on her chest was pressing onto Li Moying's chest. Not only that, Li Moying's arm was placed on her little butt. This position simply made the two of them stuck together in all angles. Huang Yueli's brain buzzed as she felt that her head was fuming with smoke. You can also listen on. For that one moment, Huang Yueli had thought that Li Moying was definitely woken up by her, and he was up to mischief to make her fall onto his body in an attempt to take advantage of her. But when she raised her head to take a look, she discovered that Li Moying was still in deep sleep, and the rhythm in his breathing didn't have much changes. Besides that, perhaps he felt a heavy thing pressing against his chest, making him uncomfortable, so he frowned slightly. His neat brows creased together, and that expression seemed to hint a sense of grievance. This made Huang Yueli felt a sense of guilt for disturbing him in his dreams. Leaning down like that would really made Li Moying wake up. If he really awoke at this moment and happened to see her leaning on his body in such an awkward position, Huang Yueli didn't even need to think before knowing how he would respond. That man would definitely give an antipathic look while ridiculing her. I already knew you were lusting after me, and you refused to admit it. Look at this. I just fallen asleep, and you already couldn't control your urge. Not only just laying your paws on me, your entire body is pressing on me. Are you preparing to use force? Thinking of this, Huang Yueli started to become anxious. No way. She absolutely could not allow Li Moying to grab hold of this handle against her. Moreover, she really couldn't control it any longer. Huang Yueli could only force herself once again, using her palms to support against the big bed to lift her body up. At least she didn't want to stick to Li Moying like that. However, just as she just got up, the arm resting on her but suddenly used force and pressed her down again. Huang Yueli fell once again onto the man's chest, as she always swore vulgarities. Li Moying really was pretending to sleep. She stretched out her hand to pinch Li Moying's face, furiously ranting, still pretending to sleep. Wake up and let me go down. Silence. In reply was Li Moying's peaceful breathing. Really didn't wake up? Huang Yueli opened her eyes wide as she looked left and right at this man, sensing that he really didn't seem like he was awake. She grew even more melancholic, already sleeping and still cannot forget to take advantage of others. What kind of man are you? Since Li Moying didn't wake up, she swallowed back the words of criticism that she had prepared. It would be better if she could slip away. She supported her body up once again in an attempt to nudge away, but in the end, she was pushed down again. Huang Yueli was so angry that she wanted to bang the wall, but very quickly, she discovered that something far from good was happening. The several times when she got up and was pushed down again led their bodies to rub against one another, and a certain part of Li Moying uncontrollably had some reaction. Huang Yueli felt a scorching heat jabbing against her tummy, and her face flushed bright red, and after a while, turning pale white. You're really a beast. She felt like weeping, but had no tears. Luckily, it was only a subconscious reaction from Li Moying's body, and he himself had not awoken. Huang Yuli knew that she could not do it forcefully again, otherwise if she really woke Li Moying up based on the current position and Li Moying's condition. She had a bad sense of foreboding. She thought for a moment as her hand stretched to her back and started to pry open Li Moying's fingers. She first needed to move this big hand out of her way, otherwise it would end up in tragedy every single time. As she was in this doggy position, she was totally reliant on her arm strength to support her body. As her hand moved to her back, it was unavoidable as she totally sprawled against Li Moying's body. You can also listen on that you're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.